Hi Wiccagem. This is a video response to your video I hate fake tarot readers. And when I watched your video I just felt I had to respond. Some of what you're saying I agree with 100%, but some of the others I don't. But let me start by saying that I really enjoy your videos and I have a great deal of respect for you and your knowledge, but that doesn't mean that you always have to agree. Now, I think that yes, you can predict death with tarot cards. To me, the tarot is an amazing tool, and yes, it is the archetypes that can speak to your subconscious and also to spiritual realms. It's definitely, as you say, 78 windows to other worlds and also worlds within yourself. But at its core, the tarot cards to me are just tools to use my own psychic abilities. And I can predict death. I can't bring it on, but I have had death signs my entire life. And yeah, me, the transhumanist that tries to become immortal, gets death signs. And I feel that anything I can do without a tool, I can do with a tool. So that if I can just get that flash of knowledge in my head, then I can also get it from the cards, because they are just tools. And the cards can't do anything I can't do, and I can use these tools. They are reflections of me. Now, to just take a few examples, when I was a little girl, there was this news report about a girl a little bit younger than me who were going to try to fly around the world in her little airplane, and something just hit me, and I said that she's gonna die. I just knew. I don't know how. But I dismissed it, because what were I to do? And the plane crashed and the girl died, and I just felt awful about it. And I've had other instances too when I've known that somebody's gonna die, but I usually don't get enough information to really know how to prevent it. And also, my most scary death sign was I was walking from my mother's home to a nearby gas station to buy, I don't remember, some candy, something like that. And suddenly there's a big black dog behind me, and there's just something odd about this dog. Now, I've grown up with animals my entire life. I have never before met a dog that I was afraid of, but that dog terrified me. There was something otherworldly about him. So I hurried into the gas station, and suddenly I look around and the dog is gone. Of course you can say, but he could have run off, and of course he could have. But there was just something in me that knew that that wasn't a normal dog. And that evening, one of my classmates killed himself. And just a few weeks later, my grandfather died. Now, he was sick. We knew there was a chance he would die. But I think that what I saw was a hellhound. And when I say hellhound, I do not mean coming from a hell. I mean as in the death sign, the death omen that is seeing a black dog. And now, I've been reading tarot for quite some time. I think my mother got me my first deck when I was like 15, 16? Something around there. And I am 30 now. So that means 14 years. And I have never seen death in my cards. Never. However, since I can do it with my psychic, I know I can also do it with the cards, because I don't see there's a difference between the cards and what I can do. I also think that if they could do it in the Middle Ages, they can do it now. Yes, death is preventable in most cases, but I think that all divinations are preventable, good or bad. It's like, if I see that you are going to become a huge success, you're going to be an author, you're going to sell millions and millions of books and become filthy rich. If you just sit down and don't do anything, that won't happen. The same as if I see someone dying and they change their life and they are no longer on that course, that won't happen. And I think no matter what divination tool you use, it can always be prevented. I don't personally believe in fate, not in the way that our futures are set in stone. I believe that what we see when we see into the future are possible futures. It is a possible outcome if we follow our life path the way we have now, but if we deviate from that path, we can change the outcome for good or bad. And as such, of course, death would come up more often in the Dark Ages, because people died more often. There were every winter was an enormous hazard, but I think that it can definitely come up. So, yeah, I disagree with you that tarot cannot predict death, because you can believe me or not, but I have psychically predicted death, and if I can do it, my cards can do it, because they are just an extension of me. They are my tools. In reality, what the tarot cards are pieces of cardboard with pretty pictures on it. The symbology is there, but it is my psychic ability, my connection with the divine source, which interprets them and brings something out of it. Now that's what was the part that I don't agree with you with. Now for what I do agree with you. I agree that you should never, ever tell a person that you are reading for that they are gonna die. First of all, you have that what's called self-fulfilling prophecies, and often people can be so hung up on this that they make it happen. Secondly, it is not okay to scare people like that. It isn't, and it isn't helpful. Like you said, you're saying, you're gonna die when you're 35. What does that help? If it is true, then you rob that person of his next 20, or was it 10? Yeah, you said it was in his 20s, yeah. His next 10 years of life, which could be his last, and you rob joy from that. And if it isn't true, then you worry him needlessly. Of course, if you see something concrete, like I can see that you have if you say to a client, I can see that you have a health problem, I would have some vigilance in checking for heart disease. That's one thing, because that's helpful. That helps a person prevent a negative outcome. But just saying, you're gonna die, it is cruel. It isn't helpful. It doesn't work. You shouldn't do it. And also, no tarot reader in the world are 100% correct. So there are some things that I think that you should never say. I have experienced seeing things in the cards where I have said, I won't go into this, because there are things that you see that aren't your place to say, and that includes if you should see that. Now, I have, like I said, never seen death. I have seen illness, and I have advised people I've read to go and have themselves checked out, or that they should be somewhat vigilant with their health. But like I said, there are things that you should be very careful with, and there's things that I don't think you should say, and that includes death. So yeah, I agree. The tarot readers that this person you talked about have been to, they seem to be there to put on the show. They seem to be of the maturity of kids playing with an Ouija board and asking, when am I gonna die? Because, yeah, they don't sound serious to me. So I completely agree that I don't think it's ethical to tell a client that they are gonna die. You can tell a client that they have a problem with their health, or that they should be very careful when driving, and so on and so forth, things that are helpful, that will prevent a possible negative outcome. But nothing is written in stone, so you should never say you are gonna die. So yeah, I guess that's my response. I do think that you can read death in tarot cards, even if I have never done it myself. But I do not think that you should do it. I agree completely, you should be honest. But the way I look at readings, they are not set in stone. And also, I think that you should definitely be honest. You should never tell a lie when reading. But sometimes there are things that you should say, I won't go into this. Because there are things that you're not necessarily qualified to deal with when you're a tarot reader. Let me take an example. I was reading for a friend of mine, and I saw in the cards that she had been raped. And that I also saw that she had had an abortion. And her question was, what could she do because she was trying to conceive a child, and it wasn't working. And I was very doubtful what I should say, so I told her that because she was a friend of mine, I did ask if she had had an abortion. She didn't have an abortion, I mean a spontaneous abortion. The kid had died in her womb. Yeah. And I asked her if she had been pregnant, and if something had happened to the child. And she said yes. But if I hadn't known her well, I would never have said that. I would have said something like, there have been in the card says that there has been a prior medical condition, perhaps a complication with earlier pregnancy, and that psychological issues and perhaps physiological damage due to that is preventing you from conceiving. So I would recommend that you see a doctor to see that you are alright physically, and if so, that you seek a therapist to deal with that mental trauma, because I think that's holding you back. That is what I would have said. I wouldn't have them blurted out, have you lost a child? Because even if we are tarot readers, it doesn't mean that we are qualified to deal with people's psychological issues. So I completely agree that you should always be honest, but there are things that you have to say, I can't get into it, which is also honest. Which is no way I think that you shouldn't say anything negative. I'm saying that there are things that you should be very careful with, and that includes that. So yeah, that's my video response. I hope you aren't upset that I don't agree with you on the seeing death in the tarot thing. I completely respect you and I respect your opinion. I just disagree on that point. So yeah, have a great day and a great weekend, and blessed be.